Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Motor Mouth and Wild Bill Winters. My name is Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Mad Mouth, along with Bill Winters and Rick Carty. And how you guys doing tonight?
Great. I'm doing great, Scotty. How are you?
Doing fine, thanks. So, got a busy week. Obviously, the NFL is going to eat up a lot of it. So, we're going to get on to some NFL news, and we're going to be busy this week. So, with that said, we're going to go ahead and lead off with...
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We're going to lead off with the Jacksonville Jaguars are talking to teams about Leonard Fournette trade. He's set, the 25-year-old set to earn $4.17 million in base salary in his fourth NFL season and owns an $8.64 million cap hit. Now, he has a fifth-year team option in 2021, feeling that would be for a whole lot more money. But in the last 6 months, the big-name players that have been shipped out include cornerbacks Jalen Ramsey, A.J. Boye, defensive end Calais Campbell, and quarterback Nick Foles. So what are your thoughts about Leonard Fournette? And do you have any suggestion of teams that he can wind up? Bill, lead it off.
Well, the first thing I want to say is, we talked just last time on the show about O'Brien with the Texans, and right at the next day there was an article in the Houston Chronicle about what he's trying to do, and they're using analytics now to evaluate players. And what they're going to try to do is get more for the buck, but have to pay less money. And Fournette's making $4 million a year. All right, and they've had a change in command up there from Coughlin to a new guy who was a president. I think he came from the St. Louis Cardinals, so he's got a baseball background.
Well, actually, are you talking about Trent Baalke, the guy that came from the 49ers?
Mike Lamping.
Okay, I guess they also...
He's the president of the Jaguars.
Okay.
And all I know is this: they moved on from Coughlin, who was 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
Right.
Play great defense, run the football, okay, and have a quarterback that doesn't give away games. That's what wins championships. Okay, now, all of a sudden, Jacksonville started doing that, then they got away from it. Okay, and then they let Coughlin go. So right now, the organization has to figure out what they're going to do, and I don't think they know what they're going to do. I think Doug Marrone, who's the coach, wants to know what he wants to do, but they have a quarterback situation where they don't have a lot of depth. All right, so I think what they're doing is they're shopping Fournette right now to see what they can get, and the only problem is there's no takers.
Right.
And the reason for that is the only running back that's going to make a lot of money this year, okay, is McCaffrey. And the reason for that, he's 3/4 of their offense.
Right.
So when you have a back that you don't know whether you're going to run him like you did a couple of years ago, that's why you drafted him 4th overall. And, his production, he's a great back. But, he's in the same boat that the guy from the Jets is.
Right.
All right. I forget his name. It was Leonard, Bell. And so, you're looking at, well, let's take a look at the draft first. Let's shop them and see what's available. There's no takers because, the compensation is too high. All right, but after the draft, things might change. He's only 25 years old. He's a productive back. I would love to have him on my team. But he hasn't, he's had a couple 1,000-yard seasons, but he's only averaging 4 yards per carry.
Right.
All right, through his first 3 seasons. And he hasn't been productive out of the backfield. And so they're going to have to decide what kind of offense they're going to run, whether they want backs coming out of the backfield to catch the rock.
Right.
And that's what O'Brien's doing. But the guys that he got in the trade for Hopkins are backs that come out of the backfield because the offenses are changing now.
Right.
All right, so Jacksonville may be sitting back and going, we need changing our offense a little bit. We got a great back. We know we can get something for him, but there's no takers, and because is it $4 million a year? So the Steelers are probably sitting back and going, we'll gobble them up. Okay, if there's no takers for him and the draft goes on. So I think Leonard will wind up going someplace just like DeAndre and getting his money. It'll go to a system that'll feature him a little bit more, and Jacksonville will get out that cap hit and be able to rebuild. So I think that's exactly what the situation is.
Okay, Rick.
Hey.
All right.
Well, Jacksonville's changing everything. Like I said, Coughlin's gone. They got rid of Foles, so Minshew will be the new, featured quarterback now. It should be interesting. And it's like they're just trimming down payroll, getting rid of all these people. And Fournette, right now he's just probably making too much money, but even though he's 25 years old, but once they get close to 30 years old, the dreaded 30 when he hit the 30-year-old as a quarterback, people might not want him. So he's had some issues, personal issues with Fournette as well, so it might be scaring people away. But I agree with Bill that people are going to wait for the draft, see who they can get. Maybe they get a free agent for cheaper, and we'll see what happens with Fournette. But I think we won't know anything till after the draft.
Well, teams that are in need of a running back, just so you know, I know Tampa Bay's not interested in them, but Buffalo can use one, Cincinnati, the LA Chargers, Kansas City, and of course Detroit. I mean, Detroit I think would be the wild card because they would like to have a second complimentary back. Kerryon Johnson has proven that he can't stay healthy, and have a guy like Leonard Fournette, who I've watched the last couple of years. Leonard's a fine running back. I really do think that. And, Detroit would be a good place because, first of all, Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn are on the hot seat. They need wins, and they need them in the worst way. You've got to take the pressure off of Matt Stafford. So, I think if the Jaguars are going to make a move on this, they really have to do it before the draft if they're going to trade him at all. They really do. Because, after all, they're looking for picks this year. So, all right. So, let's go on to our next topic, guys. The PGA Tour is planning to use 1 million COVID-19 tests to complete the season. Rick, you can lead off this time.
Either the PGA is going to do the testing?
Yeah, they said that they're going to go ahead and they looking to use 1 million COVID-19 tests to complete the season. Some thoughts?
Well, that's good. They want to make sure everybody's healthy. They want to make sure people are not spreading this thing around. Just recently in other states, they opened beaches up, which I think is crazy. They should wait, maybe partially open some things up. But they just want to make sure this thing is not getting spread around. To me, it's just common sense to get everyone tested as much as possible. Other places are checking people's temperature, making sure that nobody's sick. If someone has a cold or something, tell them to stay home. So I think the PGA is being very responsible and making sure that if this thing is still around or it's mildly around, to make sure that all their players and make sure everybody's healthy and make sure no one's sick and no one can spread this around. So I think it's a good thing that they're going to do this.
Go ahead, Bill.
All right. Well, the first 4 events they're going to have, we're starting out with the Charles Schwab one. It starts June 11th. All right. They're going to have the first 4 events aren't going to have any fans. All right. And they're going to see how this goes. And I think we're in a situation in our country right now where everybody wants to get back to work. I know that Texas is probably within a week or two is going to allow people to start to go back to normalcy. I think that the virus thing has been hyped beyond comprehension. The data's all screwed. Okay, and a lot of people are getting angry and protesting now because of the fact that we had to err on the side of caution. But now that we've kind of seen that so many people have it but are asymptomatic that I don't think they can get a handle on it. So the best thing to do is go in the southern states, just like baseball is,
right?
And start out in the southern states where the heat is, and just slowly start to get the wave going so we can get back to normalcy. And remember, we talked about in our show last week. I think that around the 4th of July, everything should be back to the states sitting there going, okay, look, we've tested a lot of people that are in there. We're going to allow us to have a sports event with some people. They may ask for people with masks. They may ask for social distancing. They may ask you to have a card to see where you're at with the virus. But we got to get this economy going.
Right.
All right. I mean, if you look at the oil industry right now, the oil industry has collapsed here in Houston. Okay. In fact, the price of a barrel is a negative. This reminds me of what went on in 1986. And we can't continue this way. Our country's going to collapse. But we also can't make sure that the cure is worse than the disease is worse than the cure. And what I mean by that is that we're so proactive in trying to hold things back that we wind up having our country be destroyed by it. So there's that balance that we talked about in previous shows where we're going to start out with 4 events in June with no people on it, see how it goes, and open up the offense. And when I saw the Travelers is in June 25th to 28th, and the Rocket Mortgage Classic June 2nd to the 5th, John Deere Classic July 9th, 12th, Memorial the 16th night. So almost every weekend, going all the way up till August 6th to the 9th, when the PGA Championship moves, you're going to be having golf every weekend. I should be able to have a handle on that by then. Okay, and I think we're just going to have to live with the fact that this disease may rebound, but we're not going to live in fear, and I think that it will be okay. And I think the hype is over. The yield curve is starting to flatten on this virus, and I think sports in general got to start leading us out to get the economy going. And I think baseball and golf are going to do that, and we're going to lead off with a couple of tournaments in June with no people in the stands.
Yeah, I think golf is handling things really brilliantly. I really do. First of all, you have a sport where you can get away without fans for a while. These guys are pretty much spread out anyways. You don't have to worry about the old 6 feet rule when you go hundreds of yards. You can have everybody play on their own or near each other. I think social distancing will be easy to practice in golf. So, hey, listen, even if the PGA is the first one that gets it started, they grab all the headlines because they're doing something everybody else is trying to figure out, and they're not doing anything right away. So I think this will be a good boost for the PGA to get some good ratings and more attention than it ordinarily would. I'm sorry, Bill, what did you want to add to that?
Hey, if we have to hand out everybody gas masks in order to go to a PGA golf tournament, whatever it takes.
Right.
Okay, this is America. We'll create it. We'll figure it out. We'll get it done. Okay, and there's a lot of evidence coming in now. The social distancing, they don't even know if it's working or not.
Right.
We have people in New York that's a hot zone where we have people, the homeless people living in subways. Okay, and the people that are using the subway are the healthcare workers. So you honestly think we're ever going to get a handle on it? Okay, so each state has a different, way of handling it. So the best thing to do is go to the states that, have a very low incidence here.
Right.
You're looking at the reporting in New York versus California. California has 40 million cases. And I mean, it's not even 1% of people that have it. Okay, and then you're looking at a city in New York that's got 10 million people. Okay, and it's got 80% of the darn viruses across the country. So, every area is different. So we can't live in fear, but we just have to be really smart, okay, on how we handle getting people to sporting events where, we make sure that we don't, make this thing blow up again. Because I think we've gotten a handle on it, and I think that's a great way to do it. And, kudos to the PGA for stepping up. And, we may have to do, some creative things to get the people to start coming to games. But I think the worst is over.
Yeah, I actually think that from what I've heard, the New York governor is talking about having MLB games probably in either August or September. So we'll see how it plays out. We all know this is a fluid situation. And, like I say, by the way, everybody, you're listening to Motormouth and Wild Bill Winters. We are live here in the South Florida Tribune Broadcasting Network. With that said, okay, let's go ahead and talk about the next topic. Major League Baseball's mulling a 3-state system. Arizona, Florida, and Texas. However, Houston may not be included in the plan due to a distancing standpoint. All right, Bill, go ahead. You lead off this time.
Well, I'd like to, since Rick is our resident baseball guru, I'd like to listen to what he has to say.
Okay.
I always learn a few things from him, and then, I'll give you what mine.
No problem. All right, Rick, then you lead off. Go ahead.
Well, I know it's going to be very interesting. They're going to be playing in Florida and in Texas, so they're going to play it out. No fans. They're going to be in the spring training facilities, things like that, and it just all has to do with how bad we can contain this thing, and hopefully by August or something like that, or hopefully sooner, it will be contained and people they can play. So it just all depends on how safe it can be. Because if you're gonna, I can understand not having no fans, but if you have all these players on the field and they're not, distancing themselves, and this thing's not contained, what's the reason for having a season? So I think, like I said, it's just a day-by-day thing, and everything changes. Right now, it looks like things are getting better, but it's a day-by-day thing. So it just all depends on how much we can contain this thing. I know we have to get our economy going. We can't be living like this, because if we do, we're gonna be a bankrupt country, and we just can't do that. So I think little by little, all this thing will roll out and just see how it goes. And then we're just going to listen to the experts, listen to scientists, doctors, see if it's good or not, and then just see what we can do about getting baseball and other sports played.
So, Rick, what are your thoughts about it possibly going into Texas? I know we've talked about the Florida/Arizona, but now Texas gets involved largely because of Globe Life Field. I gotta wonder. I would think that's a very hard plan to enforce with 3 states, much less 2, perhaps even down to 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting. You know, the governor of Texas says he wants to open everything up by May 1st. What I've been hearing is that they say that during the summer, this virus can't contain heat. So they said that when it gets hot, hopefully the virus won't be spreading, or hopefully it'll die down. So it'll be very interesting to have Texas involved and Florida and Arizona involved because it's so hot out there, and hopefully the heat can contain it. So it'll be interesting to have in those 3 states. So and they're ready to open up. You know, they've already opened some beaches in Florida,
Right.
and here even in South Carolina they want to open some things up. So it's just a day-by-day process, and we'll see what happens.
All right, Bill.
All right. Well, you know, I looked at this thing. We're looking at 3 states: Texas, Arizona, and Florida, and they're going to use minor league and major league ballparks. And this reminds me when I played in the senior professional baseball league, you know, down in Florida, playing all these major league games in minor league ballparks. So I'm looking, well, they got enough parks for all the teams in the major leagues, in the National League and the American League. They got a lot of the stadiums. I think Globe Life has a retractable roof.
Yep.
Minute Maid does, but they're talking about it being 3 hours from Dallas.
Right.
So I still think they're going to have to incorporate Minute Maid because you want to cover Texas. All right, and also the dome in Tropicana Field has a dome,
Right.
and also Phoenix. So you could get people going in there, okay, as long as they had cards where people knew that you'd been tested. Okay, so it's a great litmus test for the National Football League, and also the fact that we can start backing people into crowds and limiting the exposure to the virus. And then if you've got half the, you know, let's say half or a third of the games being played in stadiums that have retractable roofs, the other 2/3 are playing in minor league ballparks where they're outside with nobody's in the stands.
Right.
All right, so you're able to get the economy going. And remember we talked about the players going to have to take pay cuts?
Yeah.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to have to take about 25% of their pay cuts. We're all in this together. The MLS has already done that since the last time we did our show. So we've been predicting accurately what's been going on, because remember what I told you, Scott. You know, I always talk about that pendulum model.
Oh, yeah.
You know, all the way to the right is economics and free enterprise and everybody making a buck. To the left is social justice and everybody, you know, democracy and, freedom and everybody getting a fair piece of the pie. Well, that pendulum has got to stay in the middle, and that's the balance, and we're doing that exactly right now with the virus.
Yeah, those.
And almost everything we talk about these days, you know, whether it's Fournette with the Jacksonville Jaguars, just production versus paying a lot of money, it's the same model. So I'm looking here, and I'm sitting here going, let's go, let's get this thing going, let's get the economy going, let's get the fans overcoming this thing. Baseball is usually the leader, you know, it's part of our culture, and we've got 3 states that aren't exposed as much as the other hot zones are. It's a shame that we can't get teams playing in California and New York. But
Right.
We've got a lot of teams that will play in Arizona, you know, Florida, and Texas. And we've got dome stadiums, so we can kind of bounce, plug in fans into, dome stadiums and a half not, and do some comparison shopping, and maybe that'll help us get out of the woods.
Yeah, Bill, one other dome stadium I should point out is Marlins Park in Miami. That's a beautiful stadium. Unfortunately, not a great place.
Yeah, Scotty, excellent.
Yeah, no, but you know, in those three states, okay, you're right. You've got Chase Field in Phoenix, which is your really only stadium there, and then you have Globe Life in Texas,
and the West.
Right, and then you have 2 on the East. You have, whether I like Tropicana Field or not, the bottom line is, you're right, Bill. It is a dome stadium in Marlins Park. So you got 4. Now, again, one thing you did mention that, now that I think about it, is Texas is so big and they have a lot of minor league teams there that, yeah, you can definitely put some of those parks to use. Good point, Bill. All right, with that said, yeah, it's interesting. I still think all roads lead to Arizona with the spring training ones. But, you know, this is just another idea, as Rob Manfred said. You know, these are ideas. They're trying to brainstorm big time, and we don't really know where the outcome is. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about...
But I will say this, Texas is leading off.
Well, they probably are. I mean, again, as Rick... Vince,
opening everything up soon, so...
Yep, there are people out here that, you know, they're going. They're ready to go.
Yeah.
And a lot of people start to get angry because they think they've been duped.
Well, I mean, the one thing is we can all agree on it's a fluid situation for sure. And by the way, before we get to our next topic, all of us want to make sure that everybody is out there safe. Keep your social distancing and don't do anything stupid. And kudos to our first responders. We hope what we're doing on the program tonight is giving you a diversion from all the hectic things that are going on. That we can do our best to keep you informed, entertain you, and I think we all give it our best shot, right, guys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we want to make sure that the entertainment we have.
We're all in this together.
Yeah, we are. So we can, we can go ahead and take 30 to 60 minutes of your time and educate you and enlighten you. Then I think all three of us are doing the best that we can. So all I can say is, folks, be safe, stay at home. Kudos to the first responders, and this shall pass. So meanwhile,
That includes you, Tom Brady.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know where he's going with this one. Yeah, boy, I'll tell you, if that's a segue waiting to happen with what we're going to talk about, Winners is learning that thing, Rick, about hashtags. That's the flavor of the day with them.
I'm very proud of you, Bill. I'm
Yeah.
very proud of you.
Somehow,
Hashtag citation.
yeah.
Okay.
And I'm learning this Instagram thing about how to share these.
Is that SIGHTED or CITED?
I'm learning even how to share links on Instagram, Rick. You're dealing with two veteran clowns here trying to figure this social media stuff out. So.
Now you understand why I get a little intimidated by Twitter. A typo, one letter or two letters can really change the dynamic.
Yeah, well, that's all right.
Decided.
I won't.
They had to do a correction on Twitter, from what I understand.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care until you get.
Some people thought he got a fine for doing that, and they just asked him to leave, and he was cited doing it. SIGHTED. That's huge, because there's a lot of people that are getting really angry over the fact that they're getting $1,000 tickets for walking outside.
Really?
Okay, in some of these liberal states. Okay, and it's kind of a big thing here in Texas.
All right, so just so you know.
It's kind of funny. This is why I'm saying Twitter causes a lot of dysfunction. It's too instantaneous, and you're talking about typos and everything else.
All right, so.
And, we got to jump into that world from time to time, but that's the young people, because the older guys like me, we get a lot more enjoyment out of it.
All right, so I've got to make sure that with this being Winner's personal opinion, your Twitter lesson is being brought to you by your Houston Ford dealers who invite you to test drive the new Fords. Have you driven a Ford lately? No, but I know how to do these old voiceovers, so there. All right, with that said, we're going on to the NBA, and I guess I love kicking this league around, and we're going to get to do it as Draymond Green says that KD was an elephant in the room for the Warriors. Okay, Bill, what's your take on this one?
We got too much time on our hands, much to do about nothing. What I mean by that is, and I watched The Last Dance, okay, and it was great. In fact, I watched it twice. Michael Jordan was clearly the best basketball player on the planet and still is to this day. In fact, they just asked KD yesterday in an interview, and he basically said MJ's the best that ever played. That means better than him and better than LeBron. And KD thinks he's better than LeBron. Okay, they asked Draymond Green a simple question. He was honest. Okay, and you're looking back at somebody who was commenting the elephant in the room. It was simply that KD didn't know what he was going to do at the end of the year. All right, because he was stuck in a situation where he just came to the Warriors. Okay, and he's got three other players, Clay, Steph, and Draymond, that have won a championship without him, and they want him to have the same commitment that they had. And KD was honest, because every ball player's situation is different, just like Scottie Pippen with the Bulls. And all Draymond did was give an honest answer, and that's it. You shouldn't have to twist it to turn it around and make it sound like he was insulting KD and everything else. That had nothing to do with anything. That's just the media running around making something out of nothing.
Okay, well, that's I follow you. So, anyways, Rick dropped off the line, so we're just going to go ahead and pick this bad boy up here, and hopefully we can go ahead and take a quick break here. Hold on one second, Bill. All right, well, so let's talk about Draymond Green for a moment. And all I can basically say about him is that anything that I can go ahead and say about Kevin Durant. I just can't stand the guy, to be honest with you.
Well, let's go back to the Bulls here because the guy that I blame for this whole mess was Crum.
Okay. Hold on. All right.
Scott?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we got Rick back on. All right, Rick?
Hi.
All right, that's okay. Anyways, why don't you give us your...
Rick was going and getting a pound cake.
Yeah, there you go.
Right?
And he did the...
He's sitting there at the back, he's got crumbs all over his shirt.
Right, so he did a...
Okay, and I wanted to ask you, who was Crumbs, Rick?
I have no idea who Crumbs was.
That was a nickname for Jerry Krause, the general manager of the Bulls, who took a team that won 6 NBA titles and tried to destroy it because of his ego.
Yeah.
All right.
He was a scout for the White Sox, and he went to Dreinsdorf and asked if he could become the general manager of the Bulls. That's how he got his job. Okay, then he was handed Michael Jordan. He got lucky that the Portland team didn't pick Sam Bowie instead of Michael Jordan.
Right.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan was such a dominant player that he led he took the team to 6 titles. One of the best players that was in the league was Scottie Pippen. Scottie made a huge mistake. Jerry Wines Crumbs signed him to a long-term contract, took advantage of him. Okay, so Scottie played, with a 122nd contract in the league, and was probably one of the top 10 players in the NBA at the time. After a while, it kind of wore him out.
All right.
So you run into the same type of situation where a general manager has to have the pulse of his ball club. He should have redone that contract about, maybe 5 or 6 years after the 3rd or 4th championship and made Scottie feel that he wasn't being taken advantage of. So he kind of forced his hand. Okay, and I blame the general manager for that.
Okay.
And the reason is Reinsdorf wanted to be recognized as much as the Bulls. In fact, he put his foot in his mouth by going organizations win championships. It was almost like an insult to Michael Jordan and all those players. And they knew that there's 15 people in the front office that were great people. Okay, and an organization has a lot to do with it. But in the end, it's Michael Jordan and his crew that are winning the championships and producing. I don't see Jerry Reinsdorf, a.k.a. Crumbs, shooting any threes or, making layups or taking the pounding. And this is the problem that players have with management. Okay, one day we'll devote a show.
All right, but Bill.
With no options because this constant nonsense of people trying to rain on other people's hard work
right.
in organizations is why this whole stuff started. Now here it is 35 years later, and we have Draymond Green on social media, and they're asking him an honest question,
right.
and he's answering it truthfully, and they're trying to make a mountain out of a molehill.
Right.
So some things never change. There's third parties that want to jump in there and steal people's thunder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Draymond's a big mouth, so yeah.
Yeah. Well,
no,
I mean.
He's not.
Well, let me.
He's a big mouth at all.
Let me just say this, okay?
I think he's overrated, and he needs to be quiet and just
well,
play basketball.
let me just say this.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
The guy that he's
Scott, what are you gonna say?
the one thing about this whole thing is Kevin Durant doesn't help his cause any either. Everywhere he's gone, he's burned a bridge. So at what point or another does Kevin Durant continue to burn a bridge? He has this championship ring.
I totally disagree with both of you.
Pardon me?
I live and breathe NBA season. These are both really good guys, and every bit of these bonds are manufactured by a media. Plain and simple. This is stuff just like Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen.
Right.
They never said a word. They kept their mouth shut. They played and played and played and played and played and
right.
played and played and never respect by management. Okay, this is why the players are the way they are today, because
right.
management's never treated players fairly, particularly in the National Football League. So you encourage a player to ask for his money when he gets an opportunity, ever gets leverage. Okay, and Draymond Green, he looks like a bozo sometimes, but he plays hard. And
hey, listen, Bill.
Team together.
All right, Bill.
I don't want to hear this business about him being overrated. And he's a babies and all that stuff. Bull crap.
All right, hold on.
They wouldn't have won without him.
All right, hold on.
Part of a unit.
All right, let me say a few things here. Number one, okay.
I like to see him with the Cleveland Cavaliers without LeBron.
All right, here. Let me.
Yeah, but we're not talking about a team. You need 2 players. Now you need 3 stars.
All right, so here.
Draymond Green does all the dirty work.
Right.
Just like Rodman did for the Bulls and,
right.
and MJ even admitted he wouldn't have won NBA titles.
Right.
Okay, without Scottie Pippen.
All right, Bill.
Okay, because guys start taking you out physically, and that's what the American public doesn't understand.
All right, Bill, take a time out. I'm with you. Okay, so let me say a few things, all right? Number one, I believe that Draymond Green is today's version of Dennis Rodman because he does do the work. Don't dirty work. Well, hold on, Bill. Let me finish my thought, Bill. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, okay? Draymond Green is a blue-collar player. You understand? Blue-collar player. Period. Okay. Pardon me?
He's a dirty player.
Well, you know what, though? Oh, here, let me continue with this, all right? Thank you. I appreciate it, okay? Draymond Green, to me, I have no problem with his play. Sometimes he might voice an opinion or two here and there, but then again, every NBA player has an opinion anyway, so it's different nowadays. My issue is Kevin Durant, okay? As far as I'm concerned, is the type of guy that, first of all, he didn't have a ring when he went to Golden State, and Golden State's nucleus was built before Kevin Durant got there. So he was, yes, was he a difference maker for a lot of that time? Sure, but he joined an already established team, and Draymond Green's ability to rebound, play defense certainly paved the way for him to generate scoring opportunities. You follow me, Bill? Okay, so as far as I'm concerned,
they needed him to get a couple of more championships, and they knew it, and that's why those three players took him in, and they were glad he came in. Because teams start ganging up on you.
Right.
And after you win 2 or 3 in a row, you got to inject some other players in there, and you're not going to be able to do what Michael Jordan did. Okay, so you're both wrong.
All right, well, you know what, Bill? I guess in my eyes, you're wrong too. So how's that? We got 3 wrongs. We got 3 clowns. Have a lot of fun with it. Good stuff.
There's a difference between me and you. I watch NBA games 12 hours a day. I live and breathe it.
Good.
Okay, I've been in the locker room. I know what it takes. I listened to Michael Jordan talk the other day. This is what the American public doesn't get. And I'm going to tell you this. Let's do this. We can agree to disagree.
Right.
But I'd like to pick up this conversation in about a month after you guys watch the next 4 shows.
Well, first of all, Bill.
And I want you to tell me what you think.
All right.
About what went on in that locker room.
Yeah, and let me tell you this, Bill. One thing I can tell you about the NBA that you don't have, okay? Ready? I covered it for many years, sitting at courtside, talking to coaches, okay, players in the locker room, okay? You didn't do that. You follow me? So I know a lot of the inner work.
Team, Detroit.
Yeah, you know what? I've covered the Miami Heat and lots of other teams. Hold on, Bill. Hold on, Bill. Thank you very much. I appreciate the chill, Bills, because now we're up to 2 or 3 tonight. Glad we're hitting the over-under. Okay. But anyways, I understand your point. I totally get where you're coming from. You watch the NBA, a sport that really nobody gives a damn about, but, you know, you obviously have a team worth watching. And covering the Detroit Pistons as a regular writer, you know, you learn when you have some great players. You have Chuck Daly. What's there not to learn from them? So do I feel that my opinion that Kevin Durant is a product of today's NBA? You better believe I do. You know, he doesn't want to talk to the media. A lot of his contract stuff gets... they talk about it with the other teammates. That's all well and good. Nobody, frankly, cares about his contract anyhow, in my opinion. There are a lot of great players on that Golden State Warriors team, and I think that Kevin Durant walked into a good situation, period. He did. Who knows how many championships? We'll never know, any more than we know how many championships the Miami Heat should have won when LeBron went there, and they only got 2. They were preaching 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Can you count that high? And what did they get? Okay, they got a few trips to the NBA Finals. They came away with 2 rings, and that's about it. So when it comes to the inner workings of the locker room, Bill, okay, since I've been in it, I've been around a lot of writers. I've talked to a lot of NBA people. I can appreciate your point of view. We can have this discussion anytime you want. I have no problem with it. But as far as I'm concerned, okay, I'm not saying there's anybody right or not. You follow me? That has nothing to do with it. Draymond Green, okay.
That's why we do this show.
Right, exactly.
That's why we do this show, but I am defending it because I'm a former player.
Right.
It doesn't matter whether it's football, basketball, or baseball. Okay, and I'm going to tell you the flat out. The only problem with the Bulls was Jerry Krause, a.k.a.
No question about it.
They even made a joke about him.
Right.
Because the guy wanted to be one of them. In fact, when they got their rings, okay, and they went out to be introduced, there were like 18,000 people there, and you could hear about 20 people clapping their hands for Jerry Krause.
Yeah, well, no.
Everybody hated that guy. All right, and you know what? What he should have done is taken care of Scottie Pippen and treat him the right way, and we probably would have had 7 or 8 championships.
That's true.
All right, so that's on management right there. Okay, now, KD going to the Warriors. All I'm going to say is this. He delivered for them. Okay, yeah, Scott, I agree with you. They had some championships before he got there, but he got them a couple more championships. In fact, he went out when he shouldn't, and he almost pulled it off anyway before he got hurt against Toronto. All right, everybody knows it. That's why he left. And all Draymond Green saying, the elephant in the room was, hey, look, you're not totally committed. And anybody that was in KD's situation would have said the same thing. And you know what? I got to see what my options are. Okay, at the end of the year because of the amount of money. And the media made a big deal out of it. And that's the difference between when Michael Jordan played in my generation. You kept that stuff quiet. You didn't make a big deal out of it. It stayed inside the locker room. But now we have social media. So
right.
These guys sneeze the wrong way. They make a big deal out of it. They interpret everything. And we're just done talking about Twitter and Brady. And all they do is to type the word wrong and cite it.
Right.
So like I said before, it's more hype. Now, what I'm interested in is KD going to the Nets and proving everybody wrong. Because I think he's the best player in the NBA. I believe he's the best player in the NBA. Okay, he's going to go prove it with the Nets and Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
But until that happens, he's getting injured. Okay, LeBron's sitting out there building teams with the Lakers because they know it takes more than one person to win. Okay, it takes two guys now. Okay, so we're going to see what the Warriors do.
Right.
They're worn down. Everybody's injured. Okay, they finished. They were almost in last place ball club. All right, but they stockpile some things. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out.
Well, first of all, Bill,
these guys being babies and all this other stuff, that's all manufactured by the media.
Well, you know what, Bill? First of all, you know why the NBA's gone down in popularity? Because the old school basketball, we didn't have the National Drama League. Okay, now we have it. We have more defensive play, more physical play, not patty cake bakers, man. Okay, in a jump shooting league.
I'll tell you what I think.
What's that?
I think that's part of it.
That's every part of it, Bill.
Play with Kyrie or Kevin Durant.
No, I think. Well, that and also I'm gonna say this here, okay? All right, I love Kyrie Irving too, okay? I'm gonna say this to you real quickly. That's part of it, but I also think the economics has a lot to do with it. We're allowing too many of these players to dictate where they're going.
Oh, no doubt about that.
Like Kyrie Leonard, who's supposed to be the best player in the NBA.
Right.
And no disrespect to Tennant, he's a part-time Michael Jordan.
All right.
And he'll even tell you that. He's a part-time Michael Jordan.
Right.
We have young kids today who think, oh, I watched this guy who played at Duke. He played 1 year in the NBA, tore his knee up. And he's being hammered by guys that are more experienced than him, and he's disrespecting MJ and all those guys because he never saw Michael play. And this is one of the things I want you guys to watch this series over the next couple of weeks. You may slide over a little bit more to a player's perspective because of the Scottie Pippen thing and sit there and go, yeah, the media has something to do with this, management has something to do with it because it's not all one thing. And I will say this to you in all honesty. Okay, I love the NBA, but I also think most people feel the way you do. Now, Rick was talking the other day about Stephen A. Anderson on Matt and all these guys. All they do is yelling and screaming and giving people headaches.
Right.
Okay, I understand that. But we're in a situation right now where they're trying to hype stuff because the media is down right now because nobody's watching sports. So hopefully that'll regulate and start swinging back to the middle. Okay, but it's the same thing in the NBA right now. The American public's getting a little tired of these players, dictating, where they're going and everything else. And then I turn around and go, an expression that we used to say all the time, the inmates are running the asylum. Next thing you know, I'm a racist and all this other stuff because that pendulum is so far to the left.
All right.
And people are really starting to get turned off.
Well, let me tell you this, Bill.
This stuff, but it'll regulate because the talent is so damn good that once they get a handle on this stuff, the NBA will go right back up, and it's called the playoff.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'll see it to believe it. All I can tell you is I saw Bill Laimbeer, a guy that I worked with many years ago, on, I believe it was First Take, talking to Stephen A. Smith, and he's coaching the ladies out in Vegas, and he has a few championships under his belt. He says, I don't even watch the league anymore. When we were back there playing the hard-nosed physical work, what it takes to earn a championship. Your big three back then, Bill, they were built based on trades, not everybody joining everybody, formulating their own darn all-star team. Sorry, Bill, that doesn't fly. Bill Laimbeer's the most credible source. Big threes were built. Hold on, Bill.
What doesn't fly?
I'll tell you, let me finish, Bill. Thank you, okay? When big threes are being built through trades, that's fine. Not everybody just walking away and formulating their own all-star team. It doesn't fly, Bill, okay? I know you have
I agree with that.
Right, and that's why Bill Lambier.
I think a player should be able to tell
Right.
where he goes.
Well, you said it yourself. The players are running the asylum. Guess what? That's you're making all my. You're making all of my points, Bill. Thank you.
No, I'm partly saying this. Okay, and look, that's all fine and good during the regular season because everybody knows the two best teams in the West are the Clippers and the Lakers. The two best teams in the East, there's 4 teams in the East. And they're lucky if they can compete with 2 or 3 of the lesser teams in the West.
Right.
So nobody's watching basketball during the regular season. Plus, you have a new kid on the block, the XFL, that went up like a shooting star and fizzled out. Okay, but when the playoffs come, the ratings go right back to where they're at. Probably not this year, but next year for sure. But they're going to have to make some adjustments by keeping some of these management people out of there. Stop putting their foot in their mouth and trying to be like Jerry Krause, like Daryl Morey, who almost took the NBA down personally.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Number one, and secondly, stop these players from controlling everything.
Exactly.
A little bit more concept of team.
Exactly.
And also come right back to the middle. That's all I'm saying.
No,
I'm not disagreeing here with you.
Right.
I'm not saying that the American
Well,
public is
first,
the NBA down the toilet.
first of all, let me tell you this. You're right, okay? Scottie Pippen was vastly underpaid, and there's no question about it. I certainly don't think at the time he was one of the best 50 players that ever played when they voted him in there. That was about the biggest idiotic thing I've ever heard. But was he vastly underpaid? You bet. With Jerry Krause, I can't understand how an owner like Jerry Reinsdorf would let him go ahead and tear down a dynasty of 6 championships in 8 years when they definitely had the talent to win at least 1 or 2 more.
Jerry Reinsdorf's into making money.
Right, I know. I understand that.
Business owners that aren't as committed as the players.
Right.
And after a while, they get tired of it.
Well, again, you know.
Win. Okay, and then they got management sitting there going, hey, you know, a real general manager would have gone in and renegotiated Scottie Pippen's 8 or 9 year contract
Right.
after year 5 or 6. When Michael Jordan's making $33 million a year, and let me tell you something else. Michael Jordan was underpaid for a long, long time.
Right.
Before he got his $33 million. So
Right.
management's position was, we don't renegotiate contracts.
Right.
Okay, period.
Right.
So Michael Jordan was grossly underpaid for how good he was. That's just the way it is. We have young people today that want to renegotiate their contracts. Okay, with 2 or 3 years left on their deal, because they feel they're the highest paid players in the league.
Well, first of all,
concept of team, they want to build brand, they want, and what management's doing is just shipping those guys out.
oh, I know.
Okay, and they're sitting there, we're going to play with guys that are going to play for fair market value so we can build a team and make money. So there's a combination of factors there.
Well,
That's
first
all
of
I wanted to make a point regarding that.
well, first of all, Dennis Rodman, from what I understand, was making $8-9 million, and he was worth every dime of that. You talk about Raymond Green. Dennis Rodman's in the Hall of Fame. He's got 5 championships. He rebounds. He plays defense. He may be 6'7", but plays like a 7'2" guy. Dennis Rodman.
And he was a great inside the locker room guy.
Oh yeah, well I know Dennis Rodman, Bill,
You see a pain in the neck outside the arena.
but nobody cared about
They
it.
had to have a talk with him, but when he listened when Michael Jordan told him something.
Well, he did.
They had a locker room that was run well despite management.
Well, he did, but you want to know the comparison I can make to that, Bill? He had Phil Jackson in there, and Phil Jackson was like a father figure to him. And I remember when I worked with Dennis and Chuck Daly was there, and Chuck Daly was a father figure. Here's another interesting point, Bill, since I was close to the situation, okay? And that's this. When Mark Aguirre got acquired by the Pistons for Adrian Dantley, Aguirre came in there with a questionable track record. Isaiah Thomas, Bill Lambier, and the rest of those guys said, whatever happened in Dallas will not happen here. You got it? And I got...
Saying that.
What? Pardon me?
I remember you mentioning this before.
Yeah, well, because I was there. Right.
There's a culture inside the locker room.
Exactly. So my point is, you know I mention a lot of times because I'm bringing back certain things to illustrate my point, Bill. But I know full well that Dennis Rodman and Phil Jackson hit it off well. Dennis didn't give a damn about these guys away from the court. He was brought in there to play the game of basketball, did it well, and you know what? Jordan will probably tell you to this day that without Dennis Rodman, okay, we'd be in trouble. And don't forget the Scottie Pippen injury where Dennis Rodman had to pick up the slack and then helped him get to the title. So it's interesting how we go from Draymond Green and then we go on a different horse that went from one end of Texas to the other, all 20 hours on I-10, okay, to talk about Draymond Green and Kevin Durant. And we're talking about that documentary, Jordan's, and I, you know what, whether we talk about it, the point is, in my opinion, is there anybody right here? You know what, I still, if I had to side, and this is my personal opinion, Bill and Rick, okay, Kevin Durant over Draymond Green, I would still take Draymond Green. And this is just my opinion, Bill, okay, because we all have them, okay? I don't appreciate the way that Kevin Durant burns his bridges everywhere he goes. I don't care. 1 minute Oklahoma City was a bad place. Now Golden State's a bad place, and he hasn't even stepped on the court with Brooklyn. Time will tell what happens next year. I don't care. But to me, do I think Kevin Durant can be the best player in the game? No, I really don't. I think LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo figure to be the ones that carry the torch for a while, and I think there's some other young guys coming up, but we'll leave that for another day. Rick, any closing thoughts about?
We can agree to disagree on that.
Well, that's okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, so Rick, what are your closing thoughts when you watch, when you're dealing with Motor Mouth and Wild Bill Winters really duking it out big time, World Heavyweight Championship fight? Oh, we will. We will. When Bill Winters is texting me tomorrow and say, hey, Scotty, it's all good, blah, blah, blah. I enjoy that old hard love between two brothers, right, Bill? It's okay. But the reality...
For sure.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to sit here and agree with everything you always say.
I'm not asking you to.
We would have a show if we didn't have different points of view.
Well, right. That's
period. Okay.
That's why we have these powerful debates and we can't have everything patty cake, 10 minutes and agree on every darn thing out there.
NBA should be the old ways. Remember the elbows and all that.
Oh yeah, that's how I grew up and loved the NBA.
You breathe on them and you get a technical foul, and it's just like I'm like Lane B.
No, they're going to move the 3-point line out another 3 feet. Is what they're going to do.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and they're also going to open up the key a little bit so the big man can play in. They're going to make the adjustment of the game.
I can't wait.
Baseball is going to get over this technology issue, okay, and they're going to start going back to the human element in baseball. Okay, it's that pendulum that I keep telling you about. All right, we're still learning how to master the media. It doesn't matter whether it's players, general managers, social media, whatever. I think that's why you and I are going to rise above all these other people doing the shows. I listen to Barstool Sports, the best in the business. I'm looking forward to going and putting them in the ring and knocking them out. Okay, period. Okay, and so that's why I'm here. I mean, I listen to Stephen A. Anderson, I listen to these other people, and I'm sitting there going, that's fine, but they haven't played the game. There's a big difference.
Right.
I'm sitting back, I've had to deal with the media for years and talking about Allen Iverson. We're talking about practice.
Right.
We're talking about practice. I'm sitting there, this isn't college. I don't care if was it Allen Iverson is in a bar, doing whatever he wants. All I'm looking for is production. Okay, all this other fluff, this stuff being created by the media that has their image of how things should be done. Okay, it's getting to the point now where it's getting sickening. Well, that's why I call the ESPN the extra stupid programming network.
I like that.
Okay, I'm sitting here going, I'm watching guys now sitting here in a younger generation that really doesn't have anything to understand at all anything about Michael Jordan.
I agree.
And I'm going to come back to this. All right, especially you junior over here, Rick. Okay, when I sit here and you don't know who Crumbs is, I'm not even going to listen to you when you talk about basketball. Period. Okay, because you don't have the mileage on you that I do. Just like I'm not going to talk to you about the Charlotte Bats because you live it. All right, that's why everyone brings certain people to certain things to the show. All right, just like I'm not going to sit there and say, I'm not going to sit there and tell Candy, how to run the production. All right, so I know my strengths. I know what I bring to the game. Scotty, you're the quarterback. I'm just the offensive tackle, and you're handing the ball off. You're getting 4 yards on every freaking play.
Right.
So we get down the field and score. That's my mentality.
Right.
Okay, I sat back. I'm going to tell you this right now. I enjoy our show a lot, and everybody brings something to the table, and I'm really looking forward to when you get into these barbs. Motormouth, I thought you were going to stroke out there for a while, Scoop.
Oh, yeah?
I love it, okay? Yeah, I love it.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, listen, Bill, you know what?
That's what we're here for.
You've been on the field, and I'll tell you what, I'm in the old...
Yeah.
You're on the field, and I'm in that old crazy thing called the media. My goodness, we are morons, aren't we, in the media? Because we can expose you, give you all the free advertising for all the wrong reasons, and then get banned when we don't say anything right. But, yeah.
Here's the beauty of the podcast, though.
What's that?
Is we can get to the real dealio. Okay, we listen to all these people pop their things, and we get to the real truth. What's really going on?
Right.
Okay, and and not it be and be right more than wrong. Okay, and that's what people are going to turn into a show about. We're not just sitting here talking about stuff. I mean, we're talking about stuff we know a lot about.
Right.
Okay, and and I'm going to be a little arrogant. I'm sitting there, I'm looking at Gronkowski. It took Gronkowski and Brady 20 years to get to where I was after 5 years. Playing ball in Florida, it's all about lifestyle.
Well, before you
It's
go
not
any,
about the money.
before you go any,
I'm looking at these players today. I mean, I'm looking at the running backs. Like, Fournette. Go full circle. All right, the running back is a dying breed.
Right.
The general managers of these NFL teams are not going to go out, and they're not going to pay Todd Gurley money anymore. Every once in a while, they may turn around and give a guy an exception, a running back like the kid McCaffrey. But the reason is they're going to play small ball.
Right.
They're going to play great defense. They're going to run this kid to freaking death. Okay, and they're going to short pass the game with Bridgewater. They get in trouble. They're going to bring a kid off the bench who can make a play with his legs, and Williams. Okay, you can see what they're doing. So, but most of the running backs aren't going to get McCaffrey money, $64 million.
Right.
They're not going to get it. So Fournette is lucky that he's been in a situation where he's been paid more money. But he's sitting in the league going, look, I'm going to be out of the league in 2 or 3 years because the NFL will eat your body up. It's not like he's going to play, for 8 or 9 years with the Charlotte Bats in baseball. All right, he's lucky if he's going to be 2 or 3 years in the league before he's taking 10 years off his life to earn that money. So everybody's situation is different. I mean, I'm watching O'Brien get popped by the media about trading DeAndre Hopkins. No disrespect to Tenet. DeAndre Hopkins, it's time to get paid. He just came across the media today and said, I'm glad that I wanted to get out of there because he wants his money. Okay, and when you sit there and play as long as Pippen did and DeAndre Hopkins and Cam Newton, it's time to get your money. Okay, that's just the way it is.
All right.
And and you run into people that have this concept of team, and it's not. It's the business. It's not college.
All right.
Okay, that's what I hope that people are going to understand. We can disagree. Okay, we can agree to disagree with some things, like you and me and KD.
Right.
I love KD. KD's a freaking warrior. Man, I want him on my team. If no disrespect to Ken, and Michael Jordan made the Bulls. He made the NBA. And he wasn't even paid top dollar. That's management, and that's the pendulum all the way to the right.
All right, Bill.
Money.
Bill, we've got.
So we'll get there.
Bill. We got 7 minutes left to go. Okay, you understand?
All right.
7 minutes.
Yeah.
So we're going to go over what we set out to talk about. I understand we both have different opinions on KD. I can't stand Kevin Durant. That's my opinion. Draymond Green, I don't know if I like him a whole lot better, but he's a blue-collar version, in my opinion, of Dennis Rodman. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Rick, final thoughts about Draymond Green versus Kevin Durant before we have 2 more subjects before we wrap it up. Go ahead.
Well, in my opinion, they're just both babies, and they need to lay off the Twitter. They need to shut up and just play. And there's a reason that the Nets head coach quit before Kevin Durant stepped on the field. He couldn't deal with both him and Kyrie.
Right.
So we'll
okay.
see who the Nets get as their coach. It'll be interesting. We'll see who they get.
All right. Well,
I'd love to see Mark Jackson back. I'd love to see Mark Jackson back in the NBA.
Well, I would love to see Mark Jackson back too. God only knows where he's going to wind up, but Mark Jackson's a good hire waiting for a team that needs him. All right, let's go on to 2 more subjects, okay? And you know what, Bill, you kind of got it going, so we'll talk about the fact that Rob Gronkowski was traded to Tampa with a 7th-round pick in exchange for a 4th-round pick. He'll be 31 this year. He has 78 touchdowns from Brady, the most of any quarterback combination. But so what are your thoughts, Bill? He's obviously in your old neck of the woods, Tampa, let alone my old neck of the woods. What's your take on that?
Well, 1 year deal at $10 million. You've been out of ball for a while. Don't talk, just be quiet, and you better start training like a darn champion because you've lost weight. You've been out of ball for a year, and I can tell you it's difficult sometimes to come back. I was in that situation with the replacement games. The Rams called me, and I've been out of ball for a year. Toughest decision I had to make. I'm going to go to training camp and get paid as a scab and have Dennis Harrell come in and take my job. When I'm out of shape, I just decide to retire. Okay, now all I know is Gross sitting back. Okay, and he's got an opportunity to make $10 million a year and team up with Tom Brady and go down and play in Florida and build his brand and probably move his operation down to Florida because wrestling is big in Tampa. So
Right.
I have a thinking he's got a double-edged sword. It's good for business. He's decided to maybe 1 more year in the league. But let me tell you something right now.
What's that?
Okay, you better produce.
Oh, yeah.
You better produce. Okay, and I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid until I see it.
Right. Okay. All right, Rick, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he's been out of the NFL for a year. I mean, he was wrestling, he was doing a whole bunch of stuff, so I was kind of surprised that, he's going to come back. But, I mean, hey, he wants to come back, It's a 1-year deal. $10 million. You live in a state that has no state tax. So, I mean, it's a good deal. He just better be healthy because he's been hurt with his back for a couple years. So hopefully he can be healthy, and he could be, I don't think he's going to be the Gronk of old because he's gotten older and he's rusty, and we'll see if he can produce. But if people are expecting the Gronk of old, I think they're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely be next door neighbors in Tampa, and you guys are definitely dead on with this. Gronkowski does have to produce or else. I mean, Tom Brady is a security of a 2 to 3 year deal. Gronk's only getting probably $10 million, but I agree with you, Bill. You know, Florida, obviously, WWE, I think doesn't McMahon do a lot of his events in Orlando, so he's right across I-4. So,
well, yeah. I'm going to believe in Rob here because Brady's got 2 years left on his contract.
Right.
He asked for renegotiation. All right, Gronkowski has a 1-year deal.
Right.
At $10 million. You come in and you light it up and you do well. All right, you're back for another year and you renegotiate your contract and then you retire. And I hope he's enough of a warrior where he's going to sit back and really go after it because it's going to be the test of what kind of football player he really is. Because let me tell you something, those injuries don't go away. Okay, even if you're out of ball for a year and he may get out on the field, okay, and sit back and go, you know what, I shouldn't be doing this. And, you know, no disrespect that they'll just cut him. All right, the reason he left New England is New England didn't want to give Brady his money.
Right.
That's why he came down to Tampa, okay? But he also wanted to get out and prove it. So, you know, it's a double-edged sword here. But always remember, it's about the money.
Oh, yeah. Well, the reality is they'll be together. We'll see how that combination works out in Tampa. That's all. Well, again,
I'm rooting for him. Well, that's the deal in the real world.
Well, I'd like to see him do well, too, in Tampa. I think with every move that is made, I think New England's I think Bill Belichick has a bigger challenge on his head this year than he ever has with a lot of. I think that New England franchise has regressed to mediocrity, 8-8 territory. But that's just my opinion.
I'm going to make a bet with you they win the division.
All right, well, maybe they'll win it at 8-8, 9-7. I don't know.
You heard it first. No, they're going to win the division. I'll bet you right now.
We'll see. TBD. I'm not making any bets.
Oh, you don't want to put your money where your mouth is.
No, because if I do, I'll get it. My other half will put me in that game called Hangman or Hang Motor Mouth. So no. So all right. Final topic of the. Yeah, no, I'm not looking to play those games. I just got to. That probably will happen too.
I hope there's a claw.
Yeah. Well, actually, the front paws are, but the back ones aren't. All right. Well, the front part are, the back aren't. All right, final subject. We only have a few minutes to get it done, okay? Former XFL Commissioner Oliver Luck is suing founder Vince McMahon for wrongful termination. I saw this one coming. What about you, Bill?
Well, you know me. I think the WWE, or whatever they call themselves, is a circus. I've known all the wrestlers from Ric Flair to all those guys. Sorry, Rick. I know they all live in Charlotte. Okay, I've met them all. Okay, it's a rough racket. It's like the carnival. Okay, Vince made a deal with Oliver Luck. He signed a $20 million deal, I think, over 4 or 5 years. Okay, the league goes bankrupt. He's got a contract that says he deserved that money.
Right.
So he's filing a lawsuit for unlawful termination, and they'll settle out of court, and Vince will write him a check. And that's what anybody would do that has all the money. Okay, that's just the way it is. But I don't like the way it went down. I met Mr. Luck. I have him on speed dial. I sent him a couple of texts over the course of the season and everything else, congratulating him on where he's at, yada, yada, yada. He's a great guy. Okay, he laid his butt on the line. He signed a contract that should be honored. But, the other thing is, it's always about the money. Okay, when your stock goes from $20 to $80 a share, WWE stock, and then goes 80 back down to 20, okay, that's why he pulled the plug on the league to begin with.
Right.
The coronavirus did it, so you've got that pendulum swinging back and forth real quick. So Oliver Luck's going to get in there and he's going to get his piece of the pie. But I don't think he's going to get $20 million. But you better be careful because it depends on how that contract was structured.
Right.
And Oliver Luck was a lawyer. And let me tell you something, it could be damages of $20 million plus. So I'm sure they'll reach some kind of resolution, but I don't like the way that went down at all.
Me either. In fact, the fact that Oliver Luck was a lawyer, I think Vince McMahon may be over his head when you're dealing with a guy that is a lawyer. So I totally agree with you 1,000%, Bill. Unlike the minus 1,000% I have on your last under the table rant here pertaining to Draymond Green and Kevin Durant. Go ahead, Rick. What are your thoughts on this? And then we'll get to how everybody can go ahead and promote themselves.
It ended horribly. Oliver Luck's one of the most respected people in all of sports.
Oh, yeah.
I love Oliver Luck. I said this was the best hire in all of sports, and they got him as a commissioner. I loved everything that was happening, and right now it's gone from bad to worse for Vince McMahon.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't look good for him at all. I understand why he did it, but at the same time, he owes people money. Bob Stoops, June Jones, Oliver Luck, they need their money, and Oliver Luck signed a contract, and if he, it's like when he signs somebody for a 4-year deal, and then after 2 years, okay, let's go. You get rid of a coach, well, you got to pay him for those next 2 or 3 years that you honor that contract with, So
right.
He's honor that contract, but like I said, I agree with Bill. They'll go to court, they'll settle. He won't get all his money, but they'll settle. He'll get a good share, and they'll move on. And hopefully, we'll see Oliver Luck back in in college football or doing something because sports needs them.
Yeah, Oliver Luck will be back. Vince McMahon and his reputation is actually down the drain. So with that said, Rick, go ahead and lead off and let people know how they can go ahead and get a hold of you.
Well, you can contact me on our website at www.charlottebats.com. Our email address is cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. I'm also on Facebook at Charlotte Bats Baseball. We also have a fan page, a group page called Charlotte MLB. I'm also on Twitter at Charlotte Bats Baseball, or my personal account, Rick Curdy. And I'm also on Instagram at Charlotte Bats Baseball, and also have a personal account there at Rick Curdy, and contact me in all those venues. If you have any questions, comments, you can even email me about Draymond being better than Durant, whatever you want to do. It's okay. Just email me, cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com, and I'll get back to you.
All right, Bill, go ahead.
I'd love for you guys to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/C/BillWinters55 and hit subscribe. If you want to shoot me an email, you can always reach me at my website, billwinters.biz. You can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/BWinters55. You can find me on Instagram, BWinters55. And you can find me on Twitter, Bill _Winters55. And you can also find me on a Wikipedia page, Bill Winters Football. And then what I'd really like you guys to do is just listen to our shows. We've got a catalog of 29 shows that we put in the bin. It's just called Motormouth and Wild Bill Winters. And you can find that on Apple, Spotify, or iHeart, or any of the other good podcast search engines. And Florida, on the South Florida Broadcasting Network.
South Florida Tribune, Bill. Forgot the word. Okay, but that's fine. Close.
I'll keep working on it, Coach.
All right, no problem. And also you can look up Bill on Wikipedia. He certainly has a pretty vast, frequent flyer miles, and you'll get to know everything he's been involved in. With that said, my name is Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Madmouth. You can find us on Instagram at South Florida Tribune. Feel free to follow us. You can also find us on Facebook, South Florida Tribune. Like us there as well. On Twitter, I've got my personal handle, Scoop, with 5 3s, and at Tribune South. And I can be reached on LinkedIn. We want to thank everybody for joining this live broadcast of Motormouth and Wild Bill Winters with Rick Curdy. I know we definitely had a few July 4th fireworks here on April the 21st. Okay, and I'm sure that we'll have more fireworks when it's all said and done, but that's what makes this show anything but boring. I hope the one thing we've accomplished is giving you some real good entertainment tonight, because we certainly had it tonight. But meanwhile, please follow us on all the different places that we go, and I just want to reiterate, we hope we've done a pretty good job tonight by allowing you to have us as good entertainment. And as far as I'm concerned, folks, I hope everybody be safe, stay at home. Kudos to our first responders, and do the right thing. Please do the right thing, because these people don't get the credit that they need. So, anything else you guys want to add?
Ryan Zimmerman's wife. Players isolating is a necessary sacrifice. This is what I'm talking about. Now we got players' wives injecting themselves for the headlines in sports.
Very good.
All right,
Okay.
let's get this pendulum back to the middle again.
There you go.
Of course, it's a sacrifice. We don't need to hear it. Toughen up.
All right, well, with that said, we'll let Bill Winters get the last word in. Meanwhile, good night, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow here on Motor Mouth and Wild. Bill Winters. Good night, everybody.